What is a mystery that creeps you out the most? Not exactly an old, famous mystery, but still gives me the creeps. It was an old bed. My girlfriend bought it at a rundown furniture shop for $100, and they drove it over in a minivan later that day. Sometime shortly after she bought it, it started happening. I don't know how else to explain it, except that when you were lying in the bed and it was totally dark, there would be a scratching at one end, and the sheet would start to pull toward it. The bed and box spring were on the floor, so there wasn't an under the bed for anything to be hiding in or a frame to be catching the sheet. It felt just like when a cat is using the corner of the bed as a scratching post. Like there were small, snapping sounds when the sheets and the mattress fabric were released from whatever was pulling on them. Very audible, and you could feel it. We hadn't mentioned it with anyone, yet when a friend went to take a nap in the girlfriend's room, then returned 15 minutes later saying, "There's something in your room and it's scratching at the bed." We tore that room apart multiple times looking for a mouse or an incredibly strong bug or anything. We searched the mattress and looked under the piece of fabric that covers the box spring. Her room was small. We never found anything. After moving, it happened once again. She called and had the store switch out her mattress because it was broken. They did. Scratching/pulling stopped, and those terrifying nights of pulling at the sheets that were being tugged off the bed remains a mystery to us all. I live alone in an old house. It was built in 1905 and is situated in a historic village in upstate New York. I work long hours, usually from 5 a.m. until 6 p.m. at night, plus or minus driving time, so I usually don't get to enjoy sleeping in during the week. Well, during the weekends, I make it a habit of sleeping in until at least 8 or 9 a.m. During these sleep-ins, I have noticed that around 6 a.m., I'll get woken up by a slight scratching noise. Assuming it's Professor Moriarty, my cat, I just close my eyes and smile, knowing I don't have to be anywhere. Then I hear purr and realize she's next to me, not making the scratching noises. So I sit up. Scratch, scratch, scratch. I realize it's coming from the wall behind my bed. I think, alright, well I guess there's a mouse in the wall, or perhaps something else. I uneasily lay back down and just pull the covers up to my nose. All of a sudden there's a loud sigh and a huge bang, like a door being slammed shut. It's at this point that I'm already in the corner of my bedroom holding a baseball bat, intently listening for any more movement. There will usually be 1 or 2 more sighs and a bang, and then nothing else for the rest of the day. I still have no idea what it is. To be honest, the thing that freaks me out isn't well known at all. In fact, there is absolutely no information on it. I live in a small town in Alberta, Canada, and out in the rural farmland area, there's this one house that you have to take about a kilometer-long road to get to. The road is completely encased by wheat and trees and such, and when you finally get to the house, it's completely abandoned. Apparently, around 10 years ago, the people who lived there just left, and absolutely nobody knows what happened to them. They left all their furniture, all their clothes, still in the drawers. They left their vehicles, and even all the food. Since then, it has been destroyed by the weather and random people vandalizing. But the weird thing is that on their car, that is still in the driveway, there is about 25 bullet holes in the side of the car. Big holes, not buckshot pellets or even a pistol or .22 caliber, like automatic weapon holes. It's pretty creepy. In my friend's neighborhood, there is this house that creeps the hell out of everyone. First of all, it has no windows or doors and is painted black. The only way we can see to get out is an escape hatch on the roof. Then there is a giant concrete wall randomly built in the yard on the east side for no apparent reason. There are all kinds of stories about seeing creepy people come out of that house, but the truth is, no one really knows who lives there, not even the neighbors. Once, me and my friend walked up really close to the house and heard a strange, high-pitched droning coming from inside the house. Like, high-pitched to the point it was giving us a headache. I would pay serious money to know what is going on in that house. It was like all we ever thought about when we were kids. I'm surprised nobody has mentioned this yet. Maybe it's because there are a lot of people with very strong opinions on the topic, but the mystery that creeps me out the most, right now, these are all great, would be the identity of Jack the Ripper. We did a Jack the Ripper tour in London recently, tacky but intriguing, and to be honest, before this point, I'd never looked into the topic. What shocked me was the brutality and utter misogyny of the murders, and how they continued to become more base and defiled as he progressed. I wasn't previously aware that he was possibly a cannibal, with the police receiving a letter from someone claiming to have enjoyed the kidney of one of his victims. Also the suddenness with which they stopped. There's always the possibility he got syphilis from a prostitute. It would explain a lot of things, like the hatred of working women, the insanity, because there is no other word to explain what he did to those people's bodies. Why the attacks progressively became more risky and debased, and the sudden stop. People were often picked up and placed in asylums permanently. Tertiary syphilis is a nasty condition. There is something particularly sinister about his crimes, and the sloppiness of past forensics, which was in its infancy at the time, means unfortunately we probably won't ever have an answer. It's just a personal story, but this one makes me uncomfortable in my own house. I live with my mom and grandmother in an 80s built house in Oregon. One morning, around 4 a.m., I got up to get a glass of water because I had cotton mouth. I walked into the kitchen to find a plate of scrambled eggs on the dining room table. My mom is a teacher and gets up pretty early for work, so I figured they were her breakfast. That afternoon, I got a call from my mom on her lunch break. She asked why I made scrambled eggs and left them on the table. I said I didn't, I thought you did. She said she didn't, and had no idea where they'd come from. My Nana is 93, can't walk without her walker, and needs help even getting out of bed. She has advanced Alzheimer's and couldn't cook a plate of eggs if she tried. I asked her that afternoon, "Nana, did you make eggs last night?" She sat silently and refused to answer. I asked her a few more times. She was keeping a secret for someone or something, and the sly and displeased look on her face still gives me the creeps. 5 or 6 years ago, I used to receive phone calls from an unidentified phone number whose voice was a little girl that would ask to talk to her father. The conversation would usually go, "Is my dad there?" "No." Today I was supposed to talk to him. At some point the little girl would hold the phone away, and it would sound like she was talking to someone else who I could barely hear before she would continue the conversation. "Do you know where he is? I need to talk to him. Could you go get him?" At that point it would register in my head just how creepy and poltergeisty it really was, and then I would hang up the phone. This had only happened 2 or 3 times within the year, and the conversation never gone anywhere outside of this little girl wanting to talk to her dad. The first thing I could think of was the story of the Erickson twins succumbing to the shared delusion known as folie à deux, trying to kill themselves by running into traffic on the M6 repeatedly, getting hit by speeding motors, and still having the energy to assault officers while screaming bloody murder about having their organs harvested, being released from custody, and murdering a man. Such a bizarre story, and it left me puzzled and creeped out for days, simply because so many things were unexplained, What was, explained, folie à deux, or temporary shared insanity, just seemed too convenient. The footage of them running into traffic and the behavior of the twins was incredibly unsettling for me. I remember reading some crazy theories about the twins being a result of genetic experimentation / mind control / super soldiers. Definitely out there. I have no clue if this will be interesting to anyone, nor do I expect a soul to believe it. In the summer of 2006, the Canadian family of a good friend left their house to spend a week's vacation in their permanent residence in Canada. Their son, my friend, wanted to spend his last summer of high school in America, so he house sat. I slept over at his house one night. It was a large house in a partly forested township in Illinois. The house was built on the slope of a small hill, where the basement had a door to the backyard. So my friend and I spent the night doing bro things, eating food, playing Smash Brothers, Melee, etc. At 3 a.m., we locked the doors and turned off the lights and went to bed, each in a respective couch in his basement. After a few minutes of trying to sleep, I heard the heavy oak front door on the first floor slowly creak open. Then, after a brief silence, it slammed shut. The massive door rattled windows. My ears pricked. Then the door slowly creaked open again. Pause. Slam. Quickly, after I hear a window from upstairs slam shut, another door from upstairs, one of the light wooden doors, creaked open and slammed shut. Then another window, and more windows, and more doors. The floor above us began to chorus with doors and windows opening and slamming. My friend sat up in the couch. I was too nervous to do anything. After a minute, I heard footsteps upstairs. I briefly considered fleeing out the back door, but was too afraid. The steps were like anyone else's, a normal walking pace and a weighty sound to them. I could hear multiple sets. I began to consider that my friends were playing a prank, or that burglars had a stupid plan to scare us out of the house before robbing it. For some reason, neither of us budged. In rooms in the basement, I could hear but not see doors and windows opening and shutting. Any visible doors stayed shut. "What do you think that is?" I whispered. He said he didn't know. Between all the doors, windows, and footsteps that we heard, a particularly distinct set of steps began directly above our heads. Following the steps with my ears, I heard them walk slowly to the door to the basement. The basement door slowly opened. The steps began going down the stairs. I could hear them approaching, but the darkness hid the mysterious stranger. Step, step, step. Eventually they reached the last step. I squinted ahead, but still saw nothing. I was terrified. The steps approached us, and I saw nothing. There was nobody, but I could locate the steps perfectly next to us in the couches. Just a few feet away from my friend, the invisible man turned and walked to the basement's backyard door. Step, step, step. He and I watched, confused, as the door's lock slid open, the handle smoothly twist, the door creak open. The backyard motion detecting light went on. The door did not close. Somehow my friend had the balls to walk over to the door. He peered outside, as if he would suddenly see someone after witnessing that. He closed and locked the door. After a brief exchange, we went together into the room nearest us. We opened the door, and as soon as we turned on the light, the window stopped mid-movement. We went from room to room turning lights on. Each time we flicked the switch, any doors or windows would stop. Upstairs, terrified of the footsteps we anticipated, we continued to turn on lights, shutting windows, locking doors. Then the third floor, the last room, his bedroom, we turned on the light, and a torrent of rain began pouring through the window. Oddly enough, the rain drenched his Bible, as if some cosmic joke. We stayed up until sunrise, after which we went to sleep. We never figured out what that was, and I suppose I'll die never knowing the truth. I don't know if this is cool for you guys or not, but it's creepy for me. There are times that when I dream, it happens in real life. I get like 5 to 10 deja vus per month, but that's not the creepy part. I've been writing a dream journal ever since I got interested with lucid dreaming since 2009. There are several occasions that things happen in real life that was in my dream journal exactly the way it was portrayed. Last Sunday was my recent one. We went in a karaoke bar with some of my new friends. New means I just met them at that day. In my dream, I remember we went inside the room, played some songs, and we had to move out of the room because something was wrong. But I didn't actually know why we had to go out, and I woke up wondering, who are these guys? Well, it happened in real life. Exact number of people, same room, same song being played, and we also have to move out of the room because the karaoke machine won't register the microphone. I checked my dream journal just to be sure it's legit, and it was, which is my first ever evidence that my dream came true. I'm not saying that I'm supernatural and shit like that, but I'm afraid that I would have a dream that would turn out to be a nightmare, and chances are it might happen in real life. I have no control over this, and it happens every once in a month or two. So far, no lotto numbers showed.